Every speck of dirt in place last night. A sellout. More than 49,000 watched Randy Johnson ring in the 2015 campaign. But now opening day is behind us. It's the opening week of the 2015 season, and the grind begins in earnest. We are back with Game 2 of this three-game series against the defending champion San Francisco Giants. It's one down, 161 to go. D-backs baseball here on Fox Sports Arizona. Good evening from Chase Field. Welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthume and Bob Brenly along the way. Game 2 against the Giants after an exciting ball game here last night. One of the missions of this offseason, restock the organization with young pitching talent. And tonight, it's the Diamondbacks' debut of Ruby De La Rosa. Bob acquired from the Red Sox this winter in the Wade Miley deal.
Yeah, Ruby De La Rosa, an interesting guy. He's got tremendous stuff, a fastball that will reach the mid to upper 90s, a really good straight changeup that he learned from Pedro Martinez, who's a better teacher than Pedro to throw that straight changeup. Can be a little inconsistent with his command, especially with the breaking ball, but big-time fastball, big-time power arm, which makes him a good fit between this guy that started last night, Josh Comenter, and his changeup, and the changeup we'll see from Jeremy Hellickson tomorrow.
Yeah, Ruby De La Rosa was a Dodger, was a Red Sox. He was throwing near 100 miles an hour this spring, so he should be a lot of fun to watch tonight in his Diamondback debut against the Giants. Ball game last night was a lot of fun. Jake Lamb had the big hit. He's in the starting lineup at third base tonight.
We thought he had a grand slam for a moment. Looked like it was headed out of Chase Field, but just kind of hung up on the evening air and banged off the wall. I think more than anything else, this big hit by Jake Lamb and the move that Chip Hale made to get him to the plate says what kind of team it's going to be this year. Everybody's going to contribute whether you're in the starting lineup or not.
And a lot of moving pieces for Chip Hale. Aaron Hill, who got the start in place of Jake Lamb at third base last night, is in there at second tonight against Ryan Vogelsong. When we come back, Dave Stewart talks about those roster changes. We saw the flexibility last night. And then it's first pitch, De La Rosa and Vogelsong, the Giants and Diamondbacks from here at Chase Field. Fox Gigablast. How will you live the gig life? By Lone Butte Casino. You're in for more winning moments at Lone Butte Casino. And by Jack in the Box. Jack's hottest sandwich is back. Head to Jack in the Box for Jack's Blazing Chicken Sandwich.
Well, it is a beautiful night for a ball game as we welcome you back to Chase Field. We're getting you set up for first pitch. I'm Kate Longworth. It's game 2 between the Giants and Diamondbacks in this 3-game set. And it's obviously a big game for the Diamondbacks as they try to get that first win for Chip Hale. And it appears that Arizona has found the fountain of youth as the opening day roster was shaped over the last few days. Some surprises as veterans were shipped and other veterans finding out that they had a lesser role heading into the new season. Well, Dave Stewart laid it all out for us.
They were tough decisions, as you said, but you know, we said coming into spring training we were going to compete for your spots. Archie made it clear very, very, very early in camp and then continued through camp that he was going to be the guy that was going to be one of our starters. Tomas was a tough one, but you know, our fault. We really tried him at third a little bit longer than we had planned to, which put him in a bad position to move him to the outfield. We know he's going to be a good major league player, and we know he's going to be a good major league player soon, but he needs to go down and get some at-bats and some outfield time.
Dave Stewart very candid with us, explaining exactly what the Diamondbacks have in store for 2015 as he and Tony La Russa and, of course, Chip Hale doing their best to help the Diamondbacks succeed this season. And now, of course, what everyone wants, a victory for your Arizona squad. We'll see what they can do tonight as we count you down to first pitch between the Giants and your Arizona Diamondbacks. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Steve Berthium and Bob Brenly along the way. The Diamondback debut of Ruby De La Rosa. Last year with Boston, 19 big league appearances, 18 starts. And he had his nights where he was on. He allowed 1 run or less 6 times. The issue, Bob, has been consistency. He finished last year 4-8, the ERA near 4.5.
And when you have inconsistencies within your mechanics, it causes you to have really, really good outings and really, really bad outings. Obviously hoping for the former. You see the numbers last season with the Red Sox for De La Rosa. Big-time strikeout pitcher, but occasionally the walks will bite him.
Came over along with Alan Webster in the deal that sent Wade Miley to the Red Sox, and now set for his D-backs debut on a gorgeous night here at Chase Field. He will throw near 100. He's also, we're told, got a tremendous changeup.
Yeah, the changeup I mentioned in the open of the show, he learned from Pedro Martinez. Uses that pitch as his out pitch, the fastball, about 56% of the time, and velocities will reach the mid to upper 90s with that fastball.
Roof and panels open. Just a beautiful, cool night here in downtown Phoenix. Jake Lamb at third base, couple of steps in on the grass. Nori Aoki is in the box, and we are underway from Chase Field. Aoki 2 for 5 last night. 285 last year, playing for the Kansas City Royals against the Giants in the World Series. This one is rolled to first. Goldie is there. De La Rosa covers, and very quickly, 2 pitches, 1 out. Bruce Bochy has the same lineup he had in there last night.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Boch is not a guy that likes to play around with his order very much. We've seen Aoki at the top. He'll be in left field. Joe Panik making his way to the plate at second base. Angel Pagan in center field. Buster Posey once again behind the plate with Brandon Belt at first. Casey McGee at third, Brandon Crawford at shortstop, Gregor Blanco in right field, and the veteran Ryan Vogelsong on the mound.
In place of Jake Peavy, who had to be pushed back with some back issues. Peavy did throw a bullpen here this afternoon. They're hoping he can start this weekend.
I happened to be behind the batting cage with Bruce Bochy when Dave Righetti, the pitching coach, came with the report from the bullpen session, and he had one word: it was rough.
And Matt Cain is on the DL. We talked about that last night. Cain has an elbow issue. And the Giants, there's Matt Cain. Scrambling, they've apparently agreed to a deal with Kevin Correa, the former Giant. There's a strike from De La Rosa. And he's ahead of Panik, a ball and 2 strikes. Chip Hale said this spring the Diamondbacks know Ruby De La Rosa's stuff does play in the big leagues. He has pitched well. His stuff at times can be dominant, in fact, but the issue has been command. He strikes out Panik quickly, 2 down.
Center fielder number 16.
A good slider right in on the hand. Started it on the inside corner. Looked like a good pitch to Joe Panik. By the time he got the bat to the hitting zone, the pitch was out of the strike zone.
Well, like Panik, Angel Pagan had 3 hits last night, and the Giants win. .300 during an injury-plagued season last year. Missed almost 2 months with back inflammation last season. Pagan said, in fact, his back at times hurt so much that every time he stood up, he looked like a Z. That hurts. Sounds like it hurts.
Well, he's been plagued by injuries pretty much throughout his career. Some minor that just hang around, and others that put him on the disabled list. But as you mentioned last night, this is the guy, this is the motor for the San Francisco Giants, and there he goes again.
Knocks it down the right field line. Trumbo over to cut it off, and Pagan, here we go again. He had 2 doubles last night on a 3 for 4 night. He's got a 2-out double to open up the ball game here.
A top spin on that line drive into right field. Trumbo got over to it in pretty good shape, but Pagan still runs well, injuries notwithstanding, and ends up with a 2-out double.
And in steps Buster Posey. Hitless last night, 0 for 4. Lifts this in the air to left center field. Peralta at the track, at the wall, and it's gone. 2-0 Giants. Two quick outs for De La Rosa, 2 quick runs for the Giants.
This is very similar to what we saw from Buster Posey in batting practice today. He put on quite a show when the Giants took the field to hit before the ball game today, just pounding ball after ball into those left field bleachers, picked up right where he left off at 5:30.
The overshift is on for the left-hand hitting Brandon Belt, who looks at ball 1. Now the question is, can De La Rosa recover, settle down, and keep it 2-0? De La Rosa had some very encouraging starts in Boston last year. Through the middle of the season last year, he was called up AAA at the end of May and put up a 2.64 ERA through his first 7 starts. Showed some dominant stuff, showed an ability to pitch fairly deep into a ball game, but then kind of sputtered down the stretch. 3-1 to Belt. To the shift, and De La Rosa is out of the inning. But Buster Posey's first hit of the year is a 2-run homer, and the Diamondbacks are up just underway here at Chase Field. Diamondbacks have lost 10 of their last 12 games against the Giants. They have not won a series versus San Francisco here at Chase Field in 3 years, in fact, and they trail 2-0 quickly. Here's the lineup that will try and reverse that trend tonight.
Got to change that. Ender Inciarte at the top playing center field tonight. Aaron Hill moves from third to second base tonight. Paul Goldschmidt in his customary 3-hole. David Peralta cleaning up, playing left field. Mark Trumbo out in right field. Jake Lamb getting the start at third base tonight, with Tuffy Gosowicz catching. Nick Ahmed at shortstop, and Ruby De La Rosa doing the pitching.
On the mound for the Giants, the 37-year-old veteran Ryan Vogelsong. As we mentioned, Jake Peavy was originally scheduled to be tonight's starter for the Giants. He was scratched yesterday because of back stiffness, although he is expected to start, at least they hope, for the Giants this weekend. Ender Inciarte, 2 for 4 last night, 278 last season. And Vogelsong back for his 5th straight year with the Giants after returning from Japan. Diamondbacks have hit him pretty well over the years. In fact, in his last 12 starts against Arizona, Vogelsong is 1-5. The ERA in those starts near 5.5. McGee well in on the grass at third, and Inciarte shoots it over his head, but it's just foul.
Well, Vogelsong is not going to overwhelm you with his stuff. He's a command and control guy, gets a lot of movement on a sinking 2-seam fastball. He'll also throw a cut fastball, mix in an occasional curve, occasional changeup. The key for Ryan Vogelsong is always keeping the ball out of the middle of the plate. D-backs have beaten the Giants 8 of the last 12 times that Ryan Vogelsong has been the starting pitcher. A ball and 2 strikes to Ender Inciarte. Strike 3. Eric Cooper, the plate umpire, rings up Inciarte, who walks away shaking his head.
Second baseman, number 2.
The numbers on Ryan Vogelsong last season: 8-13 in 32 starts. The ERA right at 4. but fewer hits allowed than innings pitched. And this guy has been a Vogelsong nemesis, which is one reason why he's in the lineup tonight. Aaron Hill starting at second base tonight in place of Chris Owings. Aaron last season, .244 on the year, but he was 5 for 14 against Vogelsong, including a home run. In fact, if you go back even deeper than that, you'll find that Aaron Hill is 14 for 30 against Vogelsong. So he is in there tonight. Another chance, Bob, for Chip Hale to find a spot to get Aaron Hill at bats.
Well, and I like this. You know, sometimes the numbers just scream out for a guy to be in the lineup on a given night based on what he's done against a guy in the past. And certainly Aaron Hill has had his way with Ryan Vogelsong.
1-1.
Yeah, something to put in the computer there if you're Aaron Hill and the rest of the Diamondbacks hitters. 2 breaking balls so far from Vogelsong. Both have been way over in the left-handed batter's box. Just doesn't seem to have a good release point here in the early going for that breaking pitch.
Fires one in there to even up the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Vogelsong had a rough finish to last season. He won just once in his last 9 starts. Let's take a look at our T-Mobile game-changing player, Aaron Hill. Little ownage here, to borrow a term from the guys in the booth next to us.
Yeah, he's got the pink slip on Ryan Vogelsong. Some of them dramatic line drives and long home runs. Others balls that found holes, but they all count. Boy, and you know, when you're a hitter, you know what your numbers are against that guy, that night starting pitcher. That time Aaron caught looking at a fastball, probably was expecting something off speed, out of the strike zone, took one right down the middle.
Back-to-back called strike threes.
If you know your numbers against the starting pitcher on a given night, you expect to be in the lineup. And Aaron Hill probably left his house today knowing he was going to be in the lineup against Vogelsong tonight.
Wasn't always the case last year. 2 down for Goldie. 0 for 4 last night. Goldie last year an even 300. 19 home runs. He drove in 69. Only 109 games. Still finished 4th in the league in doubles with 39. That fractured left hand August 1st. Vogelsong, being careful, falls behind 2-0. Fraction left hand, Goldie says, long since back to normal. In fact, he said he almost forgot he broke it. Had a completely normal offseason. 3 balls and no strikes, as we saw a moment ago. David Peralta on deck.
I guess if there was an upside to breaking your hand when he did, it's the fact that it gave him plenty of time. He was actually starting to take batting practice by the end of the regular season last year, so he went into the offseason guns blazing, ready to get ready for this season.
He works a 2-out walk.
While we have a moment, let's take a look at our Valley Honda keys to the game tonight. Pretty simple. Throw strikes for Ruby De La Rosa and hit strikes from Ryan Vogelsong. De La Rosa needs to be in and around that strike zone more consistently, and for Vogelsong, he tries to keep the ball out of the strike zone and take advantage of hitters' aggressiveness.
David Peralta getting the start in left field tonight against the right-hander Vogelsong. Goldie at first, 2 down. David Peralta, what a season last year. He showed up here June 1st. Nobody even really knew who he was. He was not even in big league camp last spring. And wound up, you see the numbers, as one of baseball's great stories last season. 29 extra base hits in 88 games. Wound up second on the team in OPS to Goldie at 770. Looks at a strike. It's 1-1. David last year led all National League rookies in slugging percentage, OPS, and triples. And he made the summer a lot more entertaining, that's for sure. This is up and in, 2-2. David Peralta among rookies with at least 300 plate appearances last year. Led the National League in hitting, 286. Ender Inciarte right behind. Great night to be out here scoring the game.
I had a chance to see the Diamondbacks' new helmets up close today down there in the bat racks. That matte red finish, it's nice.
You're smitten.
I like them a lot.
They look good. They look like bobbleheads. There, because you get a bobblehead, they have those kind of helmets on it. So just make the bobbleheads even more accurate. The old ones, now you see those and you go, oh no, that doesn't work. Goldie takes off. Peralta bounces it to Crawford at short. And that's the inning. We are through one. Diamondbacks trail it 2-0. Sunday here at Chase Field. Each special event ticket includes a D-backs dad or D-back daughter hat, an exclusive keepsake photo. You can buy your tickets now online, dbacks.com/events. Casey McGee leads off the San Francisco second. They lead it 2-0. A 2-run homer in the first by Buster Posey off Ruby De La Rosa, who tonight makes his Diamondback debut. Great to see the dads and the daughters out here at the ballpark. You were a baseball dad with a daughter.
Yeah. Of course,
I was to the park.
Yeah, she used to come out quite a bit. Of course, when I played and Lacey was young, she'd go down to the kids' room, at the stadium and play with the other kids. But she was never a huge sports fan.
Ruby De La Rosa, good bounce back here, rings up McGee to open up the second, his second strikeout.
We had a little discussion with Mike Krukow, the analyst for the Giants TV, about home plate umpire Eric Cooper. I've told the story many times in the past. Eric Cooper threw me out of a game one time because I said he had a strike zone as big as the earth. Krukow thinks he's got a very small strike zone. I think I will be proven right here as this game progresses.
I think that one is going to go in your evidence file. That last call. Brandon Crawford, the shortstop. Drills it to center right at Inciarte. Let's take a look at the boys in blue tonight. Eric Cooper, as we've mentioned, has the plate. Rob Drake at first base.
Right fielder, number 7.
Quinn Wolcott at second, and the crew chief Gary Cederstrom is at third. And Crawford hit that right in the button.
He's been doing that a lot against the Diamondbacks. The last 2 years, a combined 25 for now 64, which is approximately a .390 batting average.
Gregor Blanco, the right fielder. They're waiting for Hunter Pence to get back from that injury he suffered right at the start of spring training. And it's been Aoki through 2 games anyway. Aoki in left and Blanco in right. Ruby De La Rosa has split time between the rotation and the bullpen in his brief major league career so far. 44 games, 28 starts. 12 appearances in the minors last season with the Red Sox AAA team in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. All starts. Worked 60 innings there, had more strikeouts than hits allowed. His results at the big league level so far have been mixed. It's a bouncer right to Aaron Hill. And a nice bounce back by Ruby De La Rosa, a 1-2-3 second. D-backs trail the Giants 2-0.
There every time with the the ability to get the job done, and he's got a lot of weapons at his disposal, and I think the advantage for us is that we have seen him quite a few times, and he's seen us too. So there's not going to be any secrets, and it's going to be a fun game. We're going to have to execute, and we know what he's going to bring to the table.
Well, so far it's a couple of strikeouts. He's got a 2-0 lead, and here is Mark Trumbo to lead off the home half of the second against veteran Ryan Vogelsong. Giants lead at 2-0. Buster Posey a 2-run home run in the first. There's strike one.
You heard Mark Trumbo talking about he has a lot of weapons at his disposal. We showed you his pitch arsenal earlier in the ball game, but so far, if I'm a hitter against Vogelsong, I eliminate the breaking ball until he proves he's going to throw it for strikes. Don't worry about the curveball.
Trumbo blasts one to right center field. Pagano on the run, and he won't get there. And Trumbo is headed for second. How about triples? 2 games and 2 triples for Big Mark. Well, he said it would be a fun game.
Well, he's having fun so far. Maybe not so much for Ryan Vogelsong. Fastball middle of the plate, and that ball was slicing away from Pagan perfectly. Just out of the reach of the diving attempt by the Giant center fielder. And Mark Trumbo, we've talked about it at length all spring. He's feeling much better this year. Last year, he wouldn't even have thought about trying for third base.
Wouldn't have been able to make it on that bad foot, but he is moving much better this year. And so the Diamondbacks have the leadoff man on third for Jake Lamb back in the starting lineup. Mark Trumbo in his 3 previous seasons had a total of 4 triples. So far he's got 2 triples in about a game and a half, not even that. 0-1 to Lamb. Chip Hale said he felt really good for Jake Lamb after Jake's big 3-run double in the 8th inning here last night. And Chip said that Jake was definitely disappointed he wasn't starting last night because, as Chip said, he kind of earned that spot over the spring. Hits it to the right side. Panic throws it out. Trumbo scores. 2-1 ball game.
Nice job. Productive at bat right there with the Giants playing their infield back all the way around. Anything on the ground other than right back to the pitcher is going to score a run. Good at bat that time by Jake Lamb to get Mark Trumbo on the plate. You'd like to get a base hit. You'd like to drive the ball in the gap the way Mark Trumbo did. But when the infield's playing back like that with the runner at third, that's a gimme RBI. Just put the ball in play and keep it away from the pitcher.
Strike one to Tuffy Gozawish.
You know, we throw that term professional hitter around a lot. And that's one of the signs of a professional hitter. Instead of going up there and trying to show everybody how far you can hit it, slices foul down that right field line. Yeah, instead of trying to hit it in the pool or hit a line drive somewhere, geez, all I have to do is put the ball in play here and we're going to get a run. That's a professional hitter. Giving up your at bat, he'll be registered an 0 for 1, but he got an RBI with a ground ball to second base.
He's already got 4 RBIs on the year, Jake Lamb. He is looking like a really, really nice rookie season just waiting to happen. Tuffy down 0-2. Makes it right by Andy Green at third. And there's Dave Budrewitz, our Golden Glover, down the left field line. Trumbo has crushed some balls so far this year. Just missed a home run last night with that triple. 1.5 feet at best. Skied to center for Pagan. 2 down. Brings up Nick Ahmed, the shortstop.
Shortstop, number 13, Nick Ahmed.
You didn't sneak one of those helmets under your jacket or anything, did you?
Not yet.
Had it. Well, you got the new house. You got it decorated, right?
Oh, yeah, that would look really nice in the new house.
Excuse me, Mr. Brenly. Where do you think you're going with that?
Hey, Roger Riley's a good buddy of mine. He'd probably let me sneak one out if I really ask him nicely.
Nick 0 for 1 last night. Pulls that one foul.
Hey fans, when the D-backs win, you win at Papa John's. The day after every Diamondbacks win, you get 50% off your regular menu price online order at Papa John's. Enter promo code DBACKS50 at papajohns.com.
Chip Hale said that before he was hired to manage the Diamondbacks, he had never seen Nick Ahmed play in person. But when he did, he saw that his defense was as impressive as he's been told. But he also observed, Chip said, that Nick's offense was a lot better than what he'd been led to believe, and we've seen that all spring. But Vogelsong gets his 3rd strikeout. The Diamondbacks get a run. It's a 2-1 ball game as we go to the 3rd. Hey, Bob, it's National Beer Day.
You think I don't know that?
We'll visit the new draft room here at the ballpark coming up next.
It's Cracker Jacks and beer. That's right, you heard me. I'm Kate Longworth coming at you from the draft room here at Chase Field. And as if you needed an excuse to enjoy a cold, refreshing beer, well, I'm giving you one. It's National Beer Day. So run to the fridge, and if you're here at Chase Field, this is the place to be, the draft room, where there are 20 craft beers on tap. There's also a chef's table, so some fine dining, and really Chase Field taking the dining experience to the next level for the 2015 season. You can find anything you need here at the ballpark. Gone are those days of bad ballpark field. I'm telling you, this is where it's at. A nice casual pub style place to watch the game. And guys, I don't know, I would say this is a pretty good seat in the house to have. But, you know, I'll send it back up to you and see what I can do. Perhaps when you're off the job, I could bring you up some cold ones to enjoy. I mean, you have to, right? It's National Beer Day.
Okay, Bob, didn't Harry Carey used to drink beers during the game?
He used to buy them from time to time, yeah.
Vogelsong grounds out to open the third. And Ruby De La Rosa has done a nice job ever since the Posey home run. He's retired now 5 in a row. That is the brand new draft room. As Kate said, 20 different craft beers available right on tap right there. And you can hang out inside the bar. It's got that nice pub atmosphere. Or if you want, even better, you can walk out to the deck there, which is right in front of the draft room, and sit outside and watch the ball game. A lot of fans enjoying the draft room here tonight. You and I need to go up there.
I think maybe a remote telecast from up in the draft room is in order.
In one of those 5.5-hour games, we could be in trouble. Even Giants fans are allowed in. To talk to somebody about that. There's that De La Rosa changeup, and that pitch, when it's working, is a real weapon.
It's a really good weapon, especially against Nori Aoki. He's got a lot of moving parts in his setup at the plate, kind of gets that front leg up in the air and starts diving in toward the plate, and that straight changeup will catch him off guard more often than not.
I mean, De La Rosa will throw mid to upper 90s consistently, and when he drops in that changeup, and he'll double and triple up on it, that's when he's at his most effective. Tuffy hangs on to the foul tip. Third strikeout for Ruby.
Let's take a look at the Ruby De La Rosa changeup. We're going to see 4 of them here that he's delivered in the game already. Got Brandon Belt way out in front of that one. Casey McGee, same thing. Looks like a fastball out of the hand of the big right-hander. But when they go to swing, the ball's just not there. Such a devastating pitch, about 8 to 10 miles per hour slower than his fastball.
Joe Panik lifts that to the left field corner. It backs up Peralta. And he tracks it down. 7 in a row. Retired by Ruby De La Rosa since the Posey homer. D-backs trail it 2-1. debut. He's done a nice job here. He's retired 7 straight since the Posey homer that made it 2-0. Diamondbacks got 1 back following the Trumbo triple. And now here is Ruby De La Rosa to lead off the home half of the 3rd against Ryan Vogelsong. And if you're wondering why is Ruby De La Rosa the number 2 starter in Chip Hale's rotation, it's not so much, as Chip explained, that he's the 2nd best guy they have behind Josh Collmenter. Bob, they wanted somebody with a different style, and De La Rosa throws very hard, to put between Josh Collmenter and Jeremy Hellickson, who goes tomorrow night.
Yeah, there's a lot more to putting together a starting rotation than just he's the best, he's the 2nd best, he's the 3rd best, as De La Rosa grounds one to Crawford. It's short. First out of the inning. If you've got guys that are similar in style, like the Diamondbacks do, Josh Collmenter throws a lot of fastballs, a lot of straight changeups. Same thing for Jeremy Hellickson. You don't want to give the opposing team the same look 2 days in a row if possible. So by sliding Ruby De La Rosa between those 2 guys, you've got a guy that relies on a changeup, followed by a guy that throws pretty hard with the fastball, even though he's got a good changeup too. And then you follow with Hellickson, who's another guy that relies heavily on off speed.
Ender Inciarte struck out looking to lead off the ball game, and Chase Anderson is very similar to Hellickson and Collmenter. Consistent low 90s fastball, relies on location with that changeup. Ender sees Casey McGee 3 or 4 steps in on the grass at 3rd and tries to shoot it the other way, but lined it foul.
Well, you like the fact he just tried that. Show bunt, bring that 3rd baseman in an extra step or 2, and then try to slap it past him. We saw him do that successfully on numerous occasions last year.
You can see where McGee is, still creeping in at 3rd. Vogelsong misses. It's a ball and a strike.
You know who used to really be good at mixing up the rotation in my playing days was the Houston Astros. And a little before my playing days, you'd go into town and face Nolan Ryan in the first game of the series. That one's flied into center field for Pagan. Should be the 2nd out of the inning. Then you come back the 2nd day and face Bob Nepper, a left-hander that threw about 70 miles an hour. And then you come back the 3rd day to get J.R. Richards, a guy that throws 100 miles an hour. And then a Joe Niekro throwing the knuckleball.
Yep.
From day to day to day, there was no consistency for opposing hitters against a rotation like that.
And then, of course, you've got Mike Scott, who was scuffing the ball, and then you got late great Joe Niekro, who was once caught with an emery board. You never know what you're going to get there.
But just try to give that opposition a different look from day to day to day, so they don't fall into a rhythm every day, 92, 92, 92, 92. Give them something different to think about.
And Ruby can bring it. He's been about 94-ish so far in the ball game, but he'll creep up into the very high 90s. Aaron Hill blasts that one to left, and that's a fair ball. It rolls to the bullpen wall, and Aaron Hill, who just owns Ryan Vogelsong throughout his career, has a 2-out double. Now, we told you that Aaron was 14 for 30 career against Vogelsong coming in. And now the Diamondbacks have the tying run on 2nd with 2 down.
Well, if there was such a thing as a prototypical Aaron Hill hit, that's the one. Taking that fastball and just tomahawking it down into that left field corner for a 2-out double.
We'll see if Goldie can take advantage. 100 miles an hour off the bat of Aaron Hill. He is so quick in there with those quick hands and wrists. Goldie walked his first time. Strike 1. Vogelsong bounces that one away, away, away. It's amazing how very quickly, I think, Bob, through the early part of last season, the word got out, don't come inside to Paul Goldschmidt, because you'll get burned.
That last pitch in the dirt looked like it bit Buster Posey in the throwing hand. You can see he got that meat hand out there beside the glove. Ideally, as a catcher, you try to get the bare hand behind the glove to protect it when you go down to a knee to block a ball in the dirt. Notice where the right hand of Buster Posey is as he goes down to block this ball. And he takes it off the base of the thumb.
You people are nuts.
And that's one of those ones, minor thing, and he'll continue to play in this game, I'm sure, and probably be in the lineup again tomorrow, but it's just a little nagging thing. You got that little bruise now on the base of your thumb. Maybe your hand doesn't feel quite as good on the bat. You know, sometimes we look for explanations. Why is the guy slumping? He's too good of a hitter to slump for 2 weeks. If you go back and look at the videotape, somewhere at the beginning of the slump, there may have been a play just like that.
And I'm going to guess that you accumulate, well, 1 or 2 of those over the course of the season.
Oh, yeah. 1 or 2 a night. You know, and the question you always ask the trainer or the team doctor is, can I hurt it any worse if I keep playing? If they say no, you keep playing.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Aaron Hill, the tying run at second, 2 down. Buster a little late getting the sign into Vogelsong, and they couldn't connect there.
Still looking at that thumb.
Now it's starting to hurt a little bit, huh? That sets in probably after a few minutes.
You know, the team traveling secretaries usually put the catchers close to the ice machine at the hotel, because that's where they're going to spend most of the night. You want to get another bag of ice to put it on your shoulder or your knee, or in Buster's case, his right thumb.
Thinking hard here. All right, what do we throw? 3-2 to Goldschmidt.
Tried to come in with a fastball. Probably caught a little more plate than Buster wanted right there. Goldie just fouled it harmlessly to the third base side.
1, 2, 3, shoot. For Sanchez and Justin Maxwell. Rock, paper, scissors, maybe.
We mentioned at the top of the show when we gave you the lineups, Bochy's not the kind of guy that'll mix and match. If he finds a lineup that's working, he'll keep running them out there day after day after day, and the guys that aren't in the lineup have to play rock, paper, scissors to keep themselves entertained.
We saw Goldie just miss a couple of hanging curveballs late in last night's ball game. 8th pitch of the at-bat on the way. He's fouled a couple straight back here in this AB. Vogelsong now creeping up on 50 pitches through 2 2/3. Goldie able to hold up, and he works the walk. Second walk of the ball game issued by Vogelsong, both to Paul Goldschmidt.
For a guy that calls a big strike zone, Cooper does not give him that 3-2 pitch, just off of the outside corner.
Look at Buster's reaction back
he
there.
wanted that one badly. Wow. Vogelsong was on his way off the mound to the first base dugout.
So 2 on, 2 out for Peralta. Grounded out to short his first time.
absolutely blasted. That is one of the hardest hit balls we've seen so far this season, going back to the beginning of the Cactus League. Just a titanic drive deep into the bleachers in right field. Some of the credit for that home run I give to Paul Goldschmidt for his 8-pitch at bat. Ryan Vogelsong had to work hard before ultimately walking Goldie. He didn't want to find himself in the same situation to Peralta, so he grooves a fastball and way out of here.
110 miles an hour off the bat of David Peralta. It almost hit your truck out there.
Don't do that.
So suddenly it's 4-2 D-backs, and here's Trumbo, who tripled the lead off the second, scored on a Lamb grounder. David Peralta. Every little bit of it. This team is going to score some runs this year. Keep this group together. We may see a fair share of that this year. Trumbo quickly down 0-2. Tomorrow we're all getting our haircut just like that.
I wish I had enough hair to get that haircut. It looks like a divot that I take when I try to hit a 7-iron off a soft lie.
High and tight.
After David Peralta hit that fastball about 900 miles to right field. A lot of breaking balls here to Mark Trumbo. We mentioned in the early going, Vogelsong didn't appear to have a good feel for that pitch, but when your fastball starts getting hit up in the bleachers, you start searching for a secondary pitch. Trying to come back to that curveball.
And Posey hangs on. David Peralta, his first hit of 2015 is a long 3-run homer. And through 3, the Diamondbacks lead the Giants 4-2.
Is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
And the Taco Bell folks fed our entire TV crew. We want to thank them for that. We were living Moss earlier today. I went down there and made a few for myself.
The way the crew was attacking those tacos, you'd think we scored 50 runs last night. 10 free tacos.
Pagan doubled and scored in the first. He's got 4 hits already this season. 3 of them are doubles.
Yeah, he's right where he wants to be. Over the last 2 years, he's hit over 500 against the Diamondbacks.
Ruby De La Rosa behind here 2-0. Coming into this inning, he had thrown 32 pitches, 20 strikes and 12 balls. I'd like to see a little more in the strike column there. It's 2-1. That's been his issue, the command. He will at times just lose it completely. Other times he's almost unhittable. It's a little mix and match. And so the key, looking for some consistency from De La Rosa, who's retired 7 straights.
Let's take a look at tonight's cold hard facts, brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. And boy, these are hard facts. Highest average against the Diamondbacks last season. Angel Pagan at the top of the list. Hit .488 against Arizona last year. Brandon Crawford also on that list.
Look out. Takes Pagan's feet out from underneath him, and it's full 3-2. Yanked that one.
Well, Tuffy wanted it inside, just not quite that far.
De La Rosa's got that mid to high 90s fastball. He was hitting 99 during his spring training appearances. The changeup and the slider, that's a work in progress to go with it. And Pagan draws the leadoff walk in the 4th. Well, that guy's been on base the whole season. Brings up Buster Posey. He came up in the 1st inning with 2 down and Pagan on 2nd, and did that, his first hit this season. And that's both the Giant runs right there. Diamondbacks have answered with 1 in the 2nd and 3 in the 3rd. De La Rosa showed this spring he can get into trouble when he rushes out there on the mound. Sometimes he hurries his pace a bit too much and then tries to throw perfect strikes. That's when the control goes, and he has trouble finding the strike zone. So you're looking for a deliberate and consistent pace from Ruby out there tonight. And here in the 4th, he's had trouble throwing strikes. Here's one. Right on the outer half. Goldie holding Pagan at first. That one misses at 95. It's 2-1.
Boy, not only velocity at 95 miles per hour, but a little tailing action on that 2-seamer out there near the outside corner. It's tough to get a ball to tail when you're throwing a 95. There's just not enough physical space between the mound and home plate to get that ball to have much movement.
Pagan takes off, and sure enough, Buster Posey hits it right in the gap vacated by Aaron Hill, and Pagan's in at 3rd. First 2 reach in the Giant 4th.
Your goal as a hitter on a hit and run is to just put the ball in play on the ground, preferably to the side of the infield where the middle infielder broke to cover the bag. That time it was Aaron Hill who was responsible for coverage at second base, and Buster Posey with that inside out swing found the hole.
Mike Harkey. This is where you got to get Ruby to lock in here. You can see Mike doing all the talking out there. It was with just under 2 weeks to go in spring training that Ruby De La Rosa became the 3rd Diamondback starting pitcher to get that official nod as a rotation member for opening day. And Chip Hale said that De La Rosa had proven enough to the coaches this spring that they believe he is a difference maker. He's a power guy in the rotation. And as we mentioned, nice mix in there between Palmenter and Hellickson.
Brandon Belt.
So 2 on, nobody out. Pagan at 3rd, Posey at 1st. Here's Brandon Belts. Line down to Aaron Hill his first time up. Ball 1.
And this is a try to minimize the damage situation right here. If you could get a double play ball off the bat of Brandon Belt, you really wouldn't mind that much that Angel Pagan scored the 3rd Giants run of the game. Clears the bases, 2 outs, nobody on.
Pagan will score, and it's a 4-3 ball game.
Third baseman Casey McGee.
Brandon Belt going away from the shift, got a pitch out over the plate and down, stayed right on it, just over the glove of Jake Lamb down there, playing way off the line at third.
Brings up Casey McGee, who struck out looking his first time up. And De La Rosa, who had retired 7 straight going into this inning, still looking for his first out here in the 4th. See that power fastball. Ruby De La Rosa was throwing 100 miles per hour a few years ago when he was with the Dodgers. Blew out his elbow, missed almost all of the 2012 season after Tommy John surgery. But still, as we've seen, throws very hard. And he can subtract as well. 0-2.
That looked to be that slider again. The velocity on the slider and the changeup very close, between 80 and 84, 85 miles per hour on those 2 off-speed pitches, and occasionally his changeup has so much downward movement it looks like a slider.
He has used that breaking ball more this spring. He's been primarily a fastball changeup guy, but the slider has come along nicely in spring training, and the coach is very happy about that. And they believe this is a young man that has a chance to be a frontline starter in the big leagues. .97, but can't get the call from Eric Cooper. 2-2. Overthrew that one a little bit. Roberto Kelly coaching at third.
High five.
Pitch number 50 on the way from Ruby De La Rosa. Posey is the runner at second. Brandon Belt at first. Casey McGee's a tough out.
He really is. I mentioned it in the ball game last night. I know the Giants fans are really going to miss Pablo Sandoval down there at third base, and certainly he came up with a lot of big hits for him in his time in San Francisco, but this guy's a different kind of a hitter. The Giants are not the free swinging hackers we've seen in the past, with Nori Aoki at the top of the order. Joe Panik appears to be a guy that'll work some deep counts. Pagan has always been that guy. Now you add Casey McGee and Brandon Crawford to the mix. You've got a bunch of guys up and down this lineup that are going to make you work to get your outs.
McGee 4th in the league in hits last season, but he strikes out for the second time tonight.
That was a good change up after some sliders early in the sequence. Looks like a fastball to Casey McGee, but once again way out in front.
Brings up Brandon Crawford. Crawford lined to center his first time up. He's throwing a little bit of everything up there, everything he's got anyway. Chip Hale likes the stuff that he has seen from Ruby so far. A couple of different fastballs he'll use. And when he lets it go to try and strike you out, he can hump it up there, high 90s. That's the big pitch, the swing and miss changeup off that. Crawford in there with a 6-game hitting streak against the Diamondbacks. 12 for 24 over that stretch with 5 RBIs dating back to last year. Ruby's ahead 0-2. What's the difference between a changeup and a power changeup? You hear that term a lot with Ruby De La Rosa.
I think a lot of guys throw changeups, and usually it's just an off-speed pitch. It's slower than your fastball, but it's relatively straight. Guys, for me, that throw a power changeup not only have that change of speed, but they have so much movement as that ball gets into the hitting zone, and we've seen some of the bottom just fall out of some of those changeups tonight.
When he's got that pitch working, it is very effective. Tuffy sets up away on 0-2. 97 down and away. 5 strikeouts for De La Rosa, 2 down in the 4th.
Right fielder Gregor Blanco.
Just rears back and throws that one right by Brandon Crawford. There you see the grips for Ruby De La Rosa. The 2-seam fastball on the upper left. The 4-seam on the lower right. It's same basic pitch, but because of the way the air reacts to the seams of the baseball, the 2-seamer will get a little tailing, sinking action. The 4-seamer fairly straight. And all of these pitches, we mentioned the changeup he learned from Pedro Martinez. All of these pitches are something guys work on every day. When the pitchers come out to play catch in the outfield before the game, they're constantly messing around with grips, talking to other pitchers on their own team, talking to pitchers on the other team. How do you hold your slider? How do you hold your splitter? Where do you put your thumb when you throw a 2-seam fastball? And it's just constantly in work. That's the changeup grip right there. The middle finger and the ring finger on the seams of the ball. The index finger and the thumb make the OK sign. Takes a lot of the velocity off that pitch. And there you see the index finger and middle finger across the seams. That's the 4-seam fastball.
1-1 on Gregor Blanco. De La Rosa trying to limit the damage after the leadoff walk scored to open up the inning. You mentioned Pedro Martinez. Ruby De La Rosa grew up around the Santo Domingo area in the Dominican Republic in a house right next to the one in which Pedro Martinez grew up. And they have become very close. Spend a lot of time together in the offseason. Small world. 95, 2-2.
Yeah, Ruby De La Rosa's grandmother was actually the nanny for both Pedro and Ramon Martinez. Grandmother is your pitching coach.
Look at that tailing action on that pitch, away from the lefty. Posey at second, Belt at first. 2-2. Bounce to Goldie. Has to hurry. De La Rosa covers. And he limits the damage. Diamondbacks still lead it 4-3.
1-run lead here, and they say, I believe there's a saying like this, where they say behind every great manager there's an even better mom, and if it's not out there, I'm coining it right now. I'm Kate Longworth, and I'm joined right now by Yvonne Hale, Chip's mom, and I just want to go back to you guys. We're from the Bay Area. Chip's first ever game as a fan was, of course, watching the Giants. Now he is here in the opposing dugout as a big league manager. What's this moment mean to you?
Well, it means everything. Last night when they introduced him as the manager of the Diamondbacks, I got chills. I just ran up and down. I just never believed. You always want them to do well, but I never, ever really believed this would happen. So we're so thrilled for him. Just thrilled.
Take us through what Chip was like as a child. Was he always a star standout in sports?
Well, he was very intense, and he loved to play all sports. It wasn't just baseball. He played baseball, soccer, football, but he just did very well in baseball. He made the majors, which they called the majors, as a little teeny guy, and he always played. He was usually an infield, always an infielder, second short, and made all the all-star teams. He was just a real baseball player.
Now, I've had the opportunity to cover Chip the past few years in the Bay Area, and he is an intense guy, and it seems like he's brought that intensity, that organization to this organization. And so I just want to talk to you about that being a trait of his since he was young. Do you have any stories about how Chip had to just keep everything right in line?
Well, he always loved his uniform, and when he played for the University of Arizona, they came and played California, and they had to have their uniforms cleaned, so he offered to bring all the uniforms to our house and wash them so that they looked absolutely perfect. I was worried they might turn out pink or something, but they did turn out okay, and they went back and played again. And he also was intense about shoes. First time he talked to Coach Kendall, he asked him, well, what color shoes is our uniform going to have?
Oh, well, there you have it. First, a lesson for all young kids out there. You do your laundry. One day, you're a big league manager, right? That's the moral of this story, I think. And hopefully kids out there are listening to this. Meanwhile, Chip living out his dream, and I know it's a big day for his family, too.
It is.
Guys.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Bob, I can't believe that Mom got away without having to wash all those uniforms.
Well, the moms always get the dirty work, and I'm sure Chip gave his mom more than she could handle when he was growing up, based on what we know about Chip and what we've seen this spring and the way he goes about his business. I bet he was a handful.
Well, it's funny, Chip, extremely competitive by nature, as Lamb works the leadoff walk, and here's Tuffy. And he admits that he was that guy in PE class in school that nobody liked. Because basketball, softball, whatever, he was always trying to win. He was the guy, playing dodgeball. He'd make diving catches. He'd smoke people with balls. And now here is a big league skipper looking for his first win. He's got a 4-3 lead here in the bottom of the fourth, and the leadoff man aboard. Vogelsong has now walked 3.
And throughout spring training, and granted it was Cactus League play, the games really didn't count for anything, but Chip Hale has shown a willingness to put runners in motion, play hit and run, try to steal some bases. Good opportunity here, maybe play a little bit of hit and run. Tuffy handles the bat well, usually makes contact, and there's a ginormous hole on that right side of the infield.
You've got Belt holding Lamb at first. And Panic shading the bag at second. Tuffy flying out to center his first time up. Said playing on opening night, getting the start was a dream come true. The Valley native, opening day catcher for the Diamondbacks.
And we talked about Josh Coleman earning the opening day start on the mound, and Tuffy did the same thing behind the plate. It wasn't a given coming into camp that he was going to be the starting catcher. Veteran Gerald Laird was in camp. Peter O'Brien came in with a lot of hype, as did Carlos Hernandez, but Tuffy just went back there and did what he usually does on the defensive end of the game and actually swung the bat very well in spring training. So he's earned this spot.
It's funny, he got an extra gift apparently last night. Josh Colmenter, who was the opening day starting pitcher, showed up carrying a very nice bottle of bourbon. Tuffy lifts that in the air to left. Milwaukee. And a nice little bottle of bourbon in a display case as a gift for his catcher and battery mate to celebrate their opening day starts.
Maybe that's the difference between pitchers and catchers. Pitchers want champagne. Pitchers give them some bourbon. Helps numb the pain.
A bunch of fancy boys, really. Those pitchers. Nick Ahmed struck out his first time. Along the right field line. No man's land. Nobody can get there. Brandon Belt, something's wrong.
Well, he pulled up quickly, turned to chase that foul ball, and just suddenly quit on it. And clearly something wrong with Brandon Belt.
He missed 50 games last year when he suffered a broken left thumb in early May. Brandon Belt. He was hit by a pitch from the Dodgers' Paul Maholm. Needed surgery to have pins installed in the thumb. Didn't get back until the 4th of July. Came back and suffered a concussion, and something tweaked there. Back or a hammy?
Probably not right to speculate, but just the way he started limping, it looked like perhaps a hamstring. Try to walk it off a little bit here and talk his way into staying in this ball game. Try to stay away from the trainer. Trying to get away.
He did come back for the playoffs last year, Brandon Belt. In fact, started all 17 postseason games. Hit .295. Here's another look. Something locked up there.
Well, the Giants could ill afford to lose Brandon Belt with Hunter Pence on the shelf for a while.
Looks like he's coming out. His bat is critical to the Giants this year, especially with Sandoval gone, Morse gone, Pence injured. So Joaquin Arias will come in and play first base. Well, Belt exits and Joaquin Arias takes over at first base.
Number 13, Joaquin Arias.
Jake Lamb is the runner at first. 1 out. A count of no balls and 1 strike to Nick Ahmed. With Arias, the new first baseman. Oh, 0-2. Kettle corn. Dennis Lamb. I think you, my friend, may be on the move here during the commercial break. Nothing gets. I know where you live, partner. Some kettle corn up here.
Love that kettle corn. There's not much that they serve here at the ballpark that I don't like.
I had my first yesterday. Paradise Valley Burger Company. I gotta say, thumbs up.
Yeah, nice.
Cold Stone always I mean, that's just a cornerstone.
That's a slam dunk. You can't go wrong there.
Double fisted there. And there's the old staple, the hot dog. Oldesong misses. It's a ball and 2 strikes. Giants took a 2-0 lead in the first. Buster Posey, a 2-run homer. Diamondbacks got 1 back in the second. Trumbo led off the inning with a triple. Jake Lamb delivered him with a ground ball RBI. And then in the third, David Peralta, a 3-run homer. Giants got 1 back in the top of the inning. And the Diamondbacks bidding for more here as Ahmed laces it into left. First hit this year for the D-backs shortstop.
It was a bullet, just gobbled up Casey McGee down there at third base. Barely had time to react to this hot shot. Sinker down and in. He just dropped the head of the bat on it. McGee with a half-hearted dive to his left just couldn't come up with it. That ball was hit hard.
So Nick Ahmed, who was down to the at-bat 0-2, and that's what we've talked about with Nick. The at-bats have been better and better this spring. Gets a one-out single. 2 on now for De La Rosa, who shows bunt. Arias coming in on the grass. McGee as well at third. Pulls back. It's a ball, 1-0.
Yeah, it reminds me of playing against the St. Louis Cardinals when Tony La Russa was managing. He always had his pitchers show bunt very early. Then as the pitcher got into the set position, they'd take the bat back into a hitting position, and then as the pitcher delivered, they'd come around and bunt.
The butcher boy? Sometimes try to butcher it over the head,
yeah,
right?
Sometimes, but in a sacrifice situation, show it early, take the bat back, and then bring it back out again into a bunting position, just to create a seed of doubt in the defense whether you are actually going to bunt or swing away.
Bunting. Posey to play at third. They have the out at third on Lamb. La Rosa didn't get it quite far enough away from the catcher. And Posey able to get the force on Lamb at third.
Now, there's a lot of catchers in the major leagues that would not make this play, but Buster Posey, so athletic, comes out from behind the dish and fires a strike down to Casey McGee to get the lead run.
So 2 down now. Ahmed at second. De La Rosa the pitcher at first. And here's the leadoff man, Ender Inciarte. Ender struck out looking and flied out 0 for 2.
Oh.
How's that discussion going with Kruko?
I think I'm winning by a large margin.
I would say you are after that one.
There's been a couple of borderline pitches that went the way of the hitter, but man, that ball is way above the zone.
There they are. These guys are among the best in the business.
They've been together for what, 20 seasons, I think, with the Giants. In the TV booth, teammates on the field, teammates upstairs.
A couple of your teammates as well.
Yeah.
What was it like to catch Kruko?
Oh, I loved it. He had 4 good pitches. He executed a game plan every time he went out to the mound, and had that competitive fire that the good ones do.
Bounce back to the mound. Vogelsong, a little underhand toss to Arias, and the Diamondbacks strand 2. We are through 4. How about a churro dog? Sold 1,000 of those last night. 4-3 D-backs.
call me and see what am I doing, and it's really, really, really cool for me and have a guy next to me like that. Pretty much about the game to me, how to prepare myself and how to get ready to the game, how to feel the best hitter on the team, and all that kind of stuff about baseball. He teach me and try to show me how to the best way.
Ruby De La Rosa, as we mentioned, grew up in the Santo Domingo area in the Dominican Republic in a house right next to the one that Pedro grew up in. They've become very close. Ruby was the little kid that wanted to learn how to pitch, and Pedro was the big major league star. He'd come back home every offseason. And they sort of became close, and Pedro was the one who taught him his changeup. And he said Pedro told him, look, you practice this every day, and if you can have it come out at the right speed, it'll be a big strikeout pitch for you. And Pedro, as usual, was right.
It worked for Pedro, that's for sure.
Vogelsong, the pitcher, leads off the Giant fifth.
Well, as you might expect with a young pitcher, when you get in trouble, when you get into a jam, you go to the pitch you're most comfortable with. And we've seen that in De La Rosa in this ball game tonight. Started out throwing a lot of fastballs, a couple of sliders in that first inning, no changeups. But then as the game has gone on, especially that fourth inning when he found himself in some trouble, he goes to the pitch he has the most faith in, and that's a straight changeup.
Seems like that velocity's been creeping up as well.
Yeah, he was 92, 93 early in the ball game, but hit 97 in that last inning.
3-2 by Vogelsong is bounced over the mound and into center, a leadoff single.
Left fielder Nori Aoki.
Brings up Nori Aoki. He has grounded out and struck out 0 for 2.
Who is that guy? What's he doing?
It's a nice hat.
Got the wrong jersey on. Other than that, she's a darling.
Those look like the uniforms you used to wear when you were a Giant.
One of those in storage somewhere.
Father-daughter combo at the ballpark. Always great to see. Going to be a big weekend. Watching the father-daughter experience here. Friday night fireworks at Chase Field. Dodgers are in town. Saturday got the Hello Kitty bobblehead. By the way, Saturday, Clayton Kershaw versus Archie Bradley in Archie's Major League debut. That's a night you want to be here.
Well, and it's Hello Kitty, so.
Yeah, plus Hello Kitty. And then you've got all this, of course, on Sunday. Los D-backs Fiesta de la Familia. That's a pregame multicultural street event. Presented by Fry's. Get your tickets online for any of these 3 games at dbacks.com. Fireworks on Friday, Hello Kitty Saturday. Pregame street festival on Sunday. Aoki lifts it into left center field. Peralta can't get it, and it one-hops the wall. Vogelsong will have to stop at third.
Aoki's not a big guy, but he gets a lot of backspin on the ball. Watch him hit down and through this ball. Very abbreviated follow through, and gets that backspin that allows the ball to carry a lot farther than you might expect from the leadoff hitter.
No, in the last inning, the first 3 against De La Rosa reached only 1 score. That was the leadoff walk to Pagan. And now here in the 5th, first 2 on with base hits, and the heart of the order is coming up. Panic, Pagan, Posey, the 3 Ps. Diamondback bullpen is busy. Panic 0 for 2. He has struck out and flat out.
You know, sometimes a starting pitcher will struggle in an inning, and it makes you accelerate everything in that bullpen. And the way De La Rosa struggled in that 4th inning, even though he only gave up 1 run, he really had to work hard to get through that 4th, through 27 pitches in that inning, and suddenly 2 guys on base to start the 5th, and Diamondbacks getting that bullpen going in a hurry.
There's a flare to left field. Peralta near the line. Vogelsong, the pitcher, is at third, and he will tag and come on in. Giants tie the ball game. RBI for Panic.
David just couldn't get behind the ball enough to really get a lot of momentum behind that throw. A slow-footed Vogelsong comes in and just does get on the plate ahead of the tag by Tuffy. Nice effort right there by Peralta and Goswish.
At the plate in center field, Angel Pagan.
Very close.
Yeah, that's a pretty good slide for a pitcher that's not on base a lot. Ryan Vogelsong saw Tuffy moving into foul territory on the third base side of the field, so he slid to the inside of the diamond and just stuck the hand out there and caught the plate.
Oakie's still at second. He's the go-ahead run with one out, and here's the guy you don't want to see up there. It's Angel Pagan. 3 for 4 last night. A double and a walk. He has scored twice tonight.
He's had 7 plate appearances so far in these 2 games. 4 hits, 3 of them doubles. He's walked twice and scored 3 runs. This is that Vogelsong slide. Not many pitchers are able to make that kind of an adjustment in the last couple of strides as they come into home plate.
Play on at second. And Ruby almost threw it into center field.
That's a play you'll see a lot of in the early going of a season. Teams work on all their fundamentals in spring training, pickoffs and relays and rundowns and bunt defenses. And usually early in the season you see a lot of pickoff attempts at second base because teams have been using it all spring. But as the season wears on, you see it less and less.
De La Rosa in the 4th. Walk, single, single to start the inning. The walk score, that was Pagan. So he had 2 on and nobody out. Got a strikeout, and a ground ball as Randall Delgado warms up. And trying to limit the damage again here in the 5th. 95, a ball and a strike. Roof open, panels open. A gorgeous night here at Chase Field. Nice and cool, very comfortable. '94 is in there, 1-2.
A little comeback action on that fastball, right back, close enough to the corner for Eric Cooper.
That tailing action that moves away from the left-hand hitter, but he can sneak that in that front door there.
Greg Maddux rode that pitch all the way to Cooperstown.
It worked pretty well, didn't it? They go away this time, and Ruby sort of lost its footing there, and it's 2-2.
Just missed the landing hole out there in front, kind of landed on the side and spun off to the first base side of the field. Fortunately, didn't twist or sprain his ankle. He just didn't have that solid footing when he came down.
The second time he's done that to Pagan tonight, taking that pitch and knocked his feet out from under him.
Well, the first was on a fastball about 94. That time it was just a slider he hung on to a little bit too long.
Three and two. On the ground to second. Right to Aaron Hill. Aoki moves up 90 feet. 2 down. So Pagan hits it to the right side. Brings up Buster Posey, who homered in the first and singled his last time up.
Buster Posey at the plate in a tie ball game with a runner at third. We'll call for a meeting on the mound. Everybody just wanted to make sure that De La Rosa knows there's 2 bases open in this particular situation. You've got Joaquin Arias in the on-deck circle, who just came into the game defensively for Brandon Belt. So let's not make any mistakes here. As a matter of fact, let's just walk him on purpose.
You like this?
I do. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of hitters in this Giants lineup, and we've documented some of the numbers But if there's one guy you do not want to let beat you, it's Buster Posey, and this is an opportunity for him to give the Giants a lead, so just take the bat out of his hands.
And they'll work to Arias.
Well, we've seen teams do it to Goldie plenty of times over the last few years.
Are you in favor of making that automatic? Because that's been discussed with all this pace of game initiatives.
Well, if pace of game is the most important thing moving forward, then that's an area where you can save a couple of minutes in a ball game anyway. The intentional walk, throwing 4 wide ones, but we've all seen it happen from time to time. That pitcher that just can't seem to execute that intentional walk and throw the ball to the backstop from time to time. So I'm sure there are proponents for both sides. For me, I don't mind it. I think that's one of those things that a major league pitcher ought to be able to throw 4 pitches in the other batter's box with no trouble.
Well, De La Rosa, granted the last 4 were intentional, has now thrown 80 pitches, 46 strikes, and 34 balls. And with runners in the corners and 2 down, he'll work to Joaquin Arias, who checked into the game at first base for Brandon Belt, who left with some kind of injury. Arias' 4th season with the Giants. Had a quiet spring, hit a $190. Drops that in for a strike. It's 1-1. And Arias last year started games all around the infield. First base, second base, shortstop, third. Spent most of his time over at third as a late inning sub for Pablo Sandoval. 1-2 gets the call from Eric Cooper at 94.
The reaction from the Giants fans here at Chase Field tonight, but appeared to be a pretty good pitch.
I'm not sure he'd agree with you, based on the look on his face. 1-2. Not out in front that time, but he stays alive. That's a valuable guy, Arias. He's played in more than 100 games in each of his first 3 seasons in San Francisco. McGee on deck. Delgado still throwing. He has been for most of this 5th inning. One-two pitch. Skied behind the bag at second. Ahmed is under it. And De La Rosa strands 2, but the Giants tie the ball game. Here's What's Next, brought to you by CenturyLink. In his last at bat, he launched a long 3-run homer. David Peralta coming up. On upcoming pitching matchup, Jeremy Hellickson, his Diamondback debut is tomorrow night here. Chris Heston has been called up. He will start game 3 for the Giants with Matt Cain on the DL. And the Giants, behind Madison Bumgarner, are scrambling. Peavy scratched tonight, and Cain DL'd tomorrow. We're not sure what they've got, frankly, behind Mad Bum. Here's Aaron Hill. Doubled and scored his last time up, 1 for 2. Lifts that high in the air toward the left field corner. Aoki. That is literally a loud foul ball. And we'll see if Aoki's okay.
He gets to a lot of balls at the wall because he plays so deep, whether it's in left field or right field. He gets back to the barrier, just mistimed his jump, and the ball hits harmlessly in foul territory and ricochets right back where he started.
So a loud strike 1 to Aaron Hill. As we mentioned at the beginning of the ball game, in there at second base tonight because of a very good track record against Vogelsong, 14 for 30 coming in, and he looks at strike 2. Aaron last season versus Vogelsong, 5 for 14 with a homer, and tonight 1 for 2. So Aaron, they said they were going to try and find some at bats. Got the start at third last night against the lefty Bumgarner, and with that record against Vogelsong, in there tonight at second base with Goldie on deck. Maybe they'll reach a point where they do try and throw Bumgarner every night. They keep losing starting pitchers. I'm sure that's rattling around somewhere in Bruce Bochy's head. Aaron Hill in the air, high to left center, but playable for Aoki.
First baseman,
Geico presents this day in baseball history, April 7th, 2000. The Houston Astros played a regular season game outdoors in Houston for the first time since 1965 when the team opened Enron Field. They got beat by the Phillies that night 4-1. Of course, before that, they played in the Houston Astrodome. They did play outdoors at old Colt 45 Stadium.
I was going to ask you about that because your teammate Joe Morgan was a part of that. I think it was original Colt 45, wasn't he?
I'm not so sure if he's original, but he might have been. But yeah, Ron Santo used to tell a great story about the late great Ernie Banks. You know, Ernie's catchphrase was, "Let's play 2. Let's play 2." Well, the Cubs actually had a scheduled doubleheader at Colt 45 Stadium in Houston. And Ernie hit a triple in his first at bat, slid headfirst into third base, and passed out. It was so hot and humid.
Goldie with a base hit.
So, of course, teammates being, the way they are in the clubhouse, let's play 3, let's play 3. Let's try to get through 1, Ernie.
Well, that's Paul Goldschmidt's first hit of the season. He's been aboard 3 times tonight, a single and a pair of walks. And here is Peralta, who last time up just launched a moonshot halfway up the right field seats. And here it is back in the third.
Talk about a no-doubter. I like the way David just very comfortably lays that bat on his shoulders. He's waiting for Vogelsong to deliver and then kind of snaps it upright as that ball is being delivered. Gets it up there in that good hitting position where he can get down and through the ball.
He always starts off with that kind of trademark lean back. Let's see if we can get a shot of it here. David Peralta with Dave Righetti on the bullpen phone. Who's that lean right there?
He leans back and puts the hand up close to the mouth. Looking at sights. And down the barrel of a gun.
And he kind of gives you the lowercase Trumbo with the bat pointed out there toward the mound.
He does the same thing every time. Very consistent in his approach. Gets into that batter's box, and right there, that little lean back. And it has meaning to him. Maybe it's to remind him to keep his weight back. I have to ask him about that.
He's got a hitter's count here, 2 balls and a strike. The first rookie in D-backs history to hit safely in his first 7 major league games, David Peralta. And after the long road to the big leagues, when he got here, he did not waste any time. Former pitcher in the Cardinals system. Swing and a miss on the off-speed pitch. We are told now that Brandon Belt left the game with a strained groin muscle. So that is the news on the Giants' first baseman.
Good breaking ball that time from Vogelsong. You may remember in the early going, he just didn't have a feel for that pitch. But as the game has progressed, you see Yusmeiro Petit warming up for the Giants. He's found a better release point on that curveball, and it's become a weapon for him.
Yusmeiro Petit, who's got a great record against the Diamondbacks, the former D-back. A lot of people wondering with all these injuries to the rotation when Bruce Bochy is going to put Petit in the rotation. And I think this early in the season, he likes the idea of having a guy back there that can give you some innings and some length if a starter gets into trouble.
Yeah, he told me that very thing yesterday afternoon. You know, he had to answer the questions of the media with all the starters dinged up. He felt he needed a long man in the bullpen, and Petit fit that description the best, and he's done it successfully in the past. Much like Josh Colmenter last year. You know, a lot of people were saying, why isn't he in the rotation? And you just had to have somebody in that bullpen that could eat up innings if the starter went a short outing.
2-2 pitch. It's full.
I have a feeling, given the injury history and age of some of these Giant starters, Petit will be in that rotation shortly.
Just by attrition, it would seem. Yep. Trumbo would be next. There's a strike away from a perfect game against the Diamondbacks a couple of years ago at AT&T Park. Eric Chavez got the base hit to break it up with 2 outs in the 9th. Goldie goes, and that's ball 4. 2 on, 1 out for Trumbo. Here he comes. Boy, that's the look right there of a manager who's watching this guy put base runners on ahead of Mark Trumbo. And here comes Dave Righetti. What is it? Did you ever go to the pitching coach and go, get out there and say something to him?
Go say something to him. Go tell him to stop walking, guys.
He's walked 4.
Now batting, right fielder, Mark Trumbo.
Well, we said it at the top of the show, Ryan Vogelsong is not the kind of pitcher that can live in the middle of the strike zone. He's got to nibble. He's got to rely on movement and changing speeds, and he's just not sharp tonight with his location. Doesn't have the same kind of movement that he normally does. We've talked about the breaking ball, the lack of consistency with that pitch. You just hope he makes some kind of a mistake where you can really put a good swing on it.
Well, there's Mark Trumbo, who hit over .420 with 4 homers in spring training, and has hit balls hard so far. Just missed a home run last night. Had a triple and scored a run in his first at bat tonight. With a great track record of an RBI machine, even last year when Mark missed all that time. He still drove in 61 runs in 88 games. Along the right field line, Arias gives it a look, but it's in the seats. 0-2. 90 pitches now for Vogelsong, 56 strikes. I think you'd look great in a feather boa.
Oh, I know. Not an orange one, though. Please.
Yeah. Looks like a Cheetos commercial. Surprised Dennis Lamb didn't bring any Cheetos up here. He went down to Mike and Sharon's and got us some cactus corn. He's over there chowing down. Lumbo gets all tied up and strikes out, 2 down. That's now 5 strikeouts for Vogelsong.
Third baseman, Jake Lamb.
I'll tell you, as a power hitter, you hope to get a fastball to hit with runners on base. He got a high fastball right there, the best pitch to possibly hit, and then a couple of sinkers inside off the plate. Really tied him up with that last one.
So 2 on, 2 down for Jake Lamb. He drove in a run with an RBI ground out in the second. Walked his last time up. Funny thing about Jake Lamb's pinch hit single last night, it's not something he does a lot of, obviously. And he said in that role, he doesn't want them to say, hey, you'll be up 4 hitters from now, so get ready. He didn't want that long to think about it. And he said the great thing about last night, that big 3-run double, they kind of told him at the last minute, hey, you're up. So he didn't have to think, just went up there and hit, and it worked out. He said the guy that he really went and talked to about with the big 3-run double, pinch hitting in the 8th inning last night, was Jordan Pacheco. And Pacheco's got a great track record as a pinch hitter. And he said, get up there and look for a fastball, something you can hit early in the count. And sure enough, on an 0-1 pitch, he almost hit a grand slam.
And I heard some of his post-game interviews, and he sounds like a big leaguer. I just went up there looking for a good pitch to hit and tried to put a good swing on it.
Take them one at a time. Stay within yourself.
Keep it simple.
1 and 2.
Don't overanalyze it. Just look for a good pitch to hit, put a good swing on it. How many times have we heard that from Goldie?
Yeah, Goldie's got that down. Thing is, with Goldie, he means it. It's not just media speak. He's the runner at second. Peralta aboard at first. 1 and 2 on Jake Lamb.
Well, that's the essence of hitting anyway. You need to get a good pitch to hit if you're going to have any chance to have success. And if you put a good swing on a good pitch, it enhances your chances of getting a base hit.
And of course, the late great Ted Williams always said that Rogers Hornsby told him, first rule, get a good pitch to hit. 95 pitches now for Vogelsong. It's full, 3 and 2. Something about Jake Lamb this winter and this spring. He went from boy to man. He just looks like he evolved about 3 years in one winter. Physically, the way he carries himself, his at bats, he looks like a big leaguer up there. 24 years old. Runners off with a pitch. That one is foul, right behind Dave McKay at first.
We talked about it briefly last night. As a young player coming to the major leagues for the first time, you have to answer a lot of questions to yourself. Am I good enough to play up here? Can I compete against the very best in this game? And I think Jake answered those questions last year and came back this year with a lot more confidence based on the experience he got last season.
And look at these at bats. We've seen now 15 pitches from Vogelsong. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 on and 2 out. Careful up there, right?
That was very nearly a balk. I guess he did break contact with the rubber with the right foot before he stumbled there.
Yeah.
Just caught a cleat on that rubber as he attempted to step off the backside.
There go the runners. We'll do it one more time. Jake Lamb, for a rookie, pretty candid about not starting last night. He said Chip Hale told him Sunday that Aaron Hill would be starting against Bumgarner. And Jake admitted he was a little frustrated. He wasn't mad at anybody, not mad at Chip Hale certainly, just a little bummed. He wanted to be in there on opening day, but he ended up, at least for the Diamondbacks, getting the game's big hit and looking for another one right here. I interest you in some tacos?
We were ready for you tonight. We had a feeling.
Jake Lamb. There you go. He's living moss. 2 games and 2 enormous hits.
What a great at bat. Out off some tough pitchers' pitches. Got to the full count. Looked like a breaking ball. It got out of here so quickly.
Another big 3-run homer for the Diamondbacks, and that will end Ryan Vogelsong's nights. Peralta a 3-run shot in the 3rd, Lamb a 3-run homer in the 5th, and it's 7-4 Diamondbacks.
Defensive team is for San Francisco.
Well, on the Twitter, you might see Lamb basted. Ooh. You might see Lamb Bam, thank you, ma'am. Jake Lamb leading the planet in RBIs right now, 2 games in.
4 plate appearances, 7 runs driven in. That's one way to get yourself back in the lineup. He's not bummed anymore as Yusmeiro Petit takes over for the Giants.
So if he goes a wish. Got a double switch, it looks like, with Hector Sanchez now taking over behind the plate for Buster Posey.
And Posey moves out to first base to take over for Joaquin Arias. A pretty good indication that Bruce Bochy is going to try to get as many innings out of Petit here tonight as he possibly can. Petit will go in the 5 spot in the lineup, formerly occupied by Belt and Arias, and Sanchez will hit in the 9 spot.
Tell you what, you talk about spring training, and everybody goes, well, it's spring training, doesn't mean anything. Jake Lamb hit .364 this spring. There's that, and there's the extra base hits. He had 6 doubles, 2 triples, and 2 home runs in spring training. And he's got a 3-run double last night and a 3-run homer tonight. He's driven in 4 of the Diamondbacks' 7 runs. The Washington Husky, a 6th-round pick in the 2012 draft. Well, the bat died a hero. Tuffy's got a 2-out single.
Shortstop, Nick Ahmed.
Brings up Nick Ahmed.
A 3-run home run by Lamb, if nothing else. Looks like it may have given Ruby De La Rosa 1 more inning. He's out into the on-deck circle right now. No activity in the Diamondbacks bullpen at this time.
Ruby's gotten himself into trouble pretty consistently. He's also, for the most part, found a way to pitch his way out of it and really limit the damage. Delgado was throwing earlier. And Randall's still hanging around out there. Petit is a tough cookie. He has given the Diamondbacks fits over the years. Made 12 starts last season overall. Pitched to an ERA as a starting pitcher over 5, but he was very effective as a reliever. 27 appearances, a 1.84 ERA. So a big difference there. That may be another reason why Bruce Bochy is hesitant to put him in the starting rotation.
Well, he's got starter stuff. He throws 4 good pitches: fastball, curveball, slider, changeup. A lot of times a guy that finds himself in the bullpen relies heavily on 2 pitches, sometimes 3 pitches, but Petit has the arsenal of a starter.
A former Diamondback, 9-19 over 3 seasons with Arizona, and he strikes out Ahmed. But Jake Lamb had an RBI ground out in the 2nd and a 3-run homer in the 5th, and through 5 it's 7-4 Diamondbacks. Homer in the 1st made it 2-0 Giants, but the Diamondbacks have answered. Peralta a 3-run shot in the 3rd, and then Bob, Jake Lamb, a great at bat, a really great at bat for a 3-run homer in the 5th.
You may remember our keys to the game: throw strikes and hit strikes. Jake Lamb fouling off some tough borderline pitches down at the bottom of the zone. Vogelsong tries to change his eye level, going up high, back down low again, and then there it is right there, the breaking ball that just hangs right in the middle of the strike zone. Foul off the tough one, stay alive in the at bat, and hope that pitcher makes a mistake, and Jake Lamb was right there to take advantage of it.
And that ended Vogelsong's night. Ryan Vogelsong in his last 5 starts here in Arizona has an ERA near 9. Part of the issue has been command. 17 walks in 24 2/3. Casey McGee leads off the San Francisco 6th. He is 0 for 2. He has struck out twice. Ruby De La Rosa back out there, but I think that's Randall Delgado back throwing in the Diamondback bullpen. Oh, check that. It's Brad Ziegler. Good to see Brad come in off that microfracture surgery on that left knee and get a big double play ball last night.
It's the socks. That's what fooled you. They both wear the high socks.
Honestly, it was. Because from our view, I can't see their heads in the bullpen. It's cut off by the fence. I can only see the socks.
Yep.
And there it is. Tell you what, Brad Ziegler, I mean, he didn't pitch in a game in spring training until late March. 8 months of grueling knee rehab. This one is bounced to Aaron Hill at second. Did not have a great spring. Got knocked around a bit. Comes out, first game of the year. He's out there for one batter, rolls double play ball. That's it.
Ho hum.
What else is new? He is a machine. All right, now I'm really confused. What else is new there? But when you have all these guys with high socks, name that pitcher. Oliver Perez on the left and Randall Delgado on the right. Thanks for playing.
Well, see, I knew that because Delgado has a little bit of the white tag showing at the top of his sock.
You always notice stuff like that. It's amazing. Crawford lifts one to deep left center field. Inciarte at the track at the wall, and it's gone. Brandon Crawford. Well, we said the balls were flying out of here tonight. And that's the 4th home run of the ball game. They don't want the souvenir.
Brandon Crawford, one of those guys that initially nothing really jumps off the page at you. He's just one of those guys that is always in the middle of things, whether it's defensively or swinging the bat, running the bases.
Blanco down the right field line. It's in the corner. Colombo keeps it in front, and Blanco is in at second. Might be time to go get Ruby. And here comes Chip Hale. Well, I think, Bob, we learned one thing. Ruby is a little bit of a roller coaster ride, but the stuff can be electric at times, and there's certainly a lot to build on with this young power arm. Back after this.
As the Arizona Diamondbacks are down 1 run right now, or up 2 runs rather right now, and Brad Ziegler on the mound. And it was a big day for Ziegler, taking the mound yesterday for opening night after having that surgically repaired knee last season. He said after missing so many games, it was just nice to be back on the mound, feel like he was a part of the team. He said he did have some butterflies on those first couple pitches, but after he got that out of the way, he was able to really just go out there, focus, get the job done, and he said having this defense to back him up only helped. Guys?
That's right. Katie came in the 9th inning last night and got Buster Posey, of all people, to ground into a double play ball.
They're coming off microfracture knee surgery, had 3 innings of work in spring training. Here's Buster Posey. Go get him.
Hector Sanchez, who took over for Posey behind the plate. Posey has since moved to first. And there's strike one. Of course, Brad did not get into a spring training game until March 22nd, so he's really still kind of playing catch up here. Said this was the toughest offseason he's ever had to endure. He's on a leg strengthening plan all winter long following surgery on that left knee. That's the front knee, the knee that he lands and plants on, that takes so much stress and strain and torque. Given his unusual delivery, there's a lot of knee bend when he releases the baseball. And that caused the wear and tear on the cartilage in there. Just foul. Watch that front leg. Brad Ziegler's last 14 outings against the Giants. 14 innings, he's given up just 1 run. Sanchez shoots this one into the left field corner. That gets down. Blanco's going to score. And it's a 7-6 ball game.
Chip shot down that left field line. Pitch was down, low and away. Not a bad pitch at all. Sanchez just trying to protect the plate, flipped it down into that left field corner for an RBI double.
And it brings up Aoki, who doubled his last time up. He's 1 for 3. Tying run at second, 1 out.
Two and 0. I don't want to put anybody else on base ahead of that murderer's row that Joe Panic, Angel Pagan, and Buster Posey have become against the Diamondbacks.
There's a strike. Three and 1. Never easy to put these guys away. They've battled back once or twice over the last 5 years. Rolled to second. Aaron Hill is over there. Sanchez in at third, 2 down. There's Coach Sean Payton out there at Futures Field here at Chase Field. Sean Payton might be the most tireless Diamondback in the entire organization. He does that all night long here during games, works with the youngsters, does clinics in the offseason, camps, everything. And he is tremendous working with the youngsters. And he is always the happiest guy you'll ever meet to be at the ballpark. Joe Panic.
I'll tell you who wasn't the happiest guy at the ballpark was whoever that was playing left field. There were some bullets hit his direction. Sean was telling the young man, get your hands up, get your hands up. Teaching defense as well. Yeah, get ready, get in that ready position.
All part of the Diamondbacks Baseball Academy. Great programs all throughout the year here in the Valley. You can learn all about them at dbacks.com. There's Sean Payton, the coach.
You ready? D-back ready.
He's got a good view up there, but he just doesn't have time to look at it.
Never gets to look at it.
Yep, he is busy. 0-1 to Panic.
Do it again. I'll give you 2 more. Hurry up. I'll give you 2 more. Hurry.
Oh, he's breaking right into the home run trot.
Ready?
Tying run at third, 2 outs. Short, Nick Ahmed. And the Diamondbacks able to keep a 1-run lead. Home half of the 6th on the way. We get a ball game here at 7-6.
Set for Diamondbacks Live, our post-game show. Joe, a lot of runs being scored here tonight. Home runs flying out of the ballpark. Impressive for the Diamondbacks, though. Jake Lamb, guys like David Peralta, young players really showing up.
Contributions up and down the lineup, Jody, especially that 3rd and 5th inning. We'll break down those innings and show you how the Diamondbacks were able to chase Vogelsong in the 5th.
And Joe, of course, will have his look at the pitchers tonight as well. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, guys. We'll look forward to Diamondback Live postgame show here on Fox Sports Arizona Plus. We've got another entertaining ball game here against these Giants, 7-6, home half of the 6th, and Jordan Pacheco will hit for Brad Ziegler. And Jordan, this is a guy you want up there as a pinch hitter because he has quickly become maybe the best in the business. In fact, Jordan Pacheco had a pinch hit single in the 7th inning last night. Since 2011, with at least 75 at-bats. He had 255 last year. But since 2011, he leads all the major leagues with a .307 batting average as a pinch hitter. And this makes him even more valuable. We've talked about that all season, it seems.
That's a double-edged sword, however. You know, you're so good as a pinch hitter. My old manager, Roger Craig, used to tell Mike Aldretti when we were teammates with the Giants, "You're too good for me to start." He was such a good pinch hitter off the bench late in the ball game. You wanted to have that weapon available late, and Aldo unfortunately didn't get in the lineup as often as he would like because he was such a good pinch hitter.
Mike, enough already. Strike 3. Petit rings up Pacheco.
Maybe overthinking a little bit in the 2-strike count. That's just a 4-seam fastball right down the middle of the plate. You can do that occasionally as a hitter, especially when a guy has a full arsenal of 4 pitches out there on the mound. You get to 2 strikes and you figure, well, he's going to bounce a breaking ball or he's going to try to throw a high fastball to get me to chase a pitch, and the guy just rears back and throws it right down the middle, and while you're thinking about it, it's called strike 3.
Ender and Ciarte in the leadoff spot tonight. And once again, Casey McGee in several steps on the grass at third. Ender was on base 3 times last night. hit by a pitch, couple of singles. He scored twice, but he's 0 for 3 tonight. Now McGee backs off a bit at third base. Yasmero Petit. On in relief of Ryan Vogelsong. In the hole near second. Panic floats it over to Buster Posey, 2 down.
Hey fans, we invite you to play Kachinko by signing up at one of the 16 interactive kiosks right here at Chase Field during any Diamondbacks regular season home game. Tonight's contestant got a $100 gift certificate at Ditka's Restaurant. Also took home a Kachinko game piece autographed by Patrick Corbin. Good night at the ballpark.
That's a neat thing. Anybody can have an autographed baseball, a bat, whatever. You get an autographed Kachinko game piece. That's big league.
That's bragging rights.
Aaron Hill doubled and scored in the third, 1 for 3. Aaron with great numbers against Ryan Vogelsong in there at second base for Chris Owings tonight. And he went 1 for 3 versus Vogelsong. Now in there against Petit, 2-0. Pair of hits last night, getting the start at third against Bumgarner over Jake Lamb. High in the air, very short right field. Panic is under it. And Petit works a 1-2-3-6. We head to the 7th. Diamondbacks lead at 7-6. Gig Life high-speed highlights. A lot of home run hijinks here. 7-6 as we start the 7th, and the new pitcher for the D-backs is the big right-hander Randall Delgado. Last year, career highs, appearances, and strikeouts. Some very effective work in the bullpen. And the shorter outings turned Randall into a little bit more of a power pitcher than we'd seen as a starter. He's bulked up a bit, 6'4", 220 out there. And he's working to the heart of the order in the 7th. Pagan, Posey, and then the pitcher's spot. Brandon Belt, if you're just joining us, had to come out of the game in the 4th inning with a groin injury, which he suffered sort of running backward to try and chase down a pop foul. Arias took over at first. Posey has since moved from behind the plate over to first base, and there's strike 2. And so after Bruce Bochy moved his pieces around, the pitcher spot is now 5th in the Giant lineup.
Yeah, Bruce Bochy doesn't have as many pieces to move around as he would probably like because of the uncertainty with their pitching staff. They're only carrying 4 bench players. We've already seen Sanchez in the ball game, Arias at first base. Only 2 position players available for Boch right now.
And of course, they're without big number 8, Hunter Pence. And that was a big one. 383 consecutive games played, the longest active streak of the majors. That ended last night. A non-displaced fracture of the ulna bone in his left forearm, hit by a pitch from the Cubs minor leaguer Corey Black back on March the 5th during the first week of spring training. Right to Delgado. And they finally figure out a way to retire Pagan, who's been on base this whole series so far. Here is March 5th, Hunter Pence. And the funny thing was, Corey Black apologized to Pence on Twitter. He just wrote, "Lost for words, hope you heal fast. Hitting someone is never a good feeling. Hurting someone is even worse." And Pence actually joked with reporters the saddest part about that injury is that he could no longer comb his hair. And so the Giants looking for a right-hand bat. They were looking for a right-hand bat anyway. But now even more so with Pence out of there. And with the pitcher spot due up next, they've got Justin Maxwell, the former Washington National, in the on-deck circle. Base hit for Posey. And this is why Bruce Bochy has had to move his lineup around a bit. This was Brandon Belt. Right there. A strained groin is the diagnosis so far. So here is Justin Maxwell. Spent much of last year in the Royals system with AAA Omaha. Played just a handful of big league games with Kansas City. And a big spring, hit almost 350, 2 homers. Drove in 15 runs in 27 games. And they're looking for some right-hand pop in this lineup with Pence out.
Yeah, Bruce Bochy was raving before the ball game. Of course, he had known about Maxwell, but seeing him up close and personal on a daily basis, he says he's amazed at what an athlete this young man is. He's got some power. You got to be careful here. A .224 career hitter over parts of 6 major league seasons. His best year, 2012 with Houston, hit 18 home runs. Delgado falls behind 2-1. How about Buster Posey? 2-run homer in the first, a single in the 4th. He was walked intentionally in the 5th, and a 1-out single here in the 7th. After he was 0 for 4 last night. 95 in there for a strike. Randall can hump it up there these days. Nice fluid delivery, kind of a short arm stroke as he puts that ball back behind his right ear and then just fires it toward the strike zone. Just misses away with that one in 94.
3-2.
He has what I would term a short arm delivery. He starts with a real long arm stroke. It looks like he's going to extend the ball way out behind his body, and then he brings it right up behind his right ear before firing it toward home plate.
And he's got that killer changeup too, and you add that extra velocity in there with his great changeup, and he can be a handful for an inning or two. 61 innings in relief last year for Delgado. Allowed just 46 hits against 78 strikeouts. 3-2 to Maxwell is out of play. Got him. 2 down.
Nice strike slider this time from Delgado. Starts it on the inside part of the plate. You saw the knee buckle from Maxwell, and then the ball dives right back on the inner third of the plate for a called strike.
Of all the pitchers we saw throughout spring training, start to finish, I think, Bob, you can make a pretty good argument that Randall Delgado was the best one. He was very good all spring long. McGee.
You know, we talked about it earlier with Jake Lamb, how he appears to be a different guy this year. And you think back to last spring, Randall was in competition for that 5 spot in the rotation and probably didn't bring his best game to the Cactus League last year. But from the experience he had last season, he's a different cat this year.
He's firing strikes in there, 0-2. The game against the Angels, he came in there and looked really good. Struck out Trout, Pujols, and Freese all in a row in one game. Bounces that one. And here's another guy like we saw last night with Andrew Chafin. Andrew worked 2 1/3 through 32 pitches in relief of Josh Colmenter. Delgado's another guy who can give you length in that bullpen. Posey's hung up, and they got him. He saw the pitch bounce away in the dirt, started leaning towards second base, and leaned a little too far. And the Diamondbacks get out of the inning. We stretch at Chase Field. They lead the Giants 7-6. Dance for a while. We just saw some defense there to pick Posey off and end the inning. And then 2 3-run homers. One from David Peralta and this one from Jake Lamb.
Well, it was a pretty good formula for Earl Weaver's Baltimore Orioles, rather. And Diamondbacks hoping to emulate the success that the Orioles had under Earl Weaver. It's an exciting brand of baseball. Pitching, defense, 3-run home.
It's fun to watch, and it's been another great one here with the D-backs and Giants. Middle game of this 3-game set. And Bruce Bochy has pulled the plug on Yasmero Petit. The right-hander George Contos is on to open up the Diamondbacks 7th. He had a rough spring, an ERA right at 4.5. Back and forth from AAA Fresno last year. Goldschmidt, Peralta, Trumbo, 3, 4, and 5 in the Arizona 7th. Goldie has been aboard 3 times, 2 walks, a single. He scored twice. After the 0 for 4 last night, the numbers on Contos. And he was in the big leagues, up from AAA Fresno last year. Did pretty well, 2.78 ERA. Seen Goldie take a few big-time cuts up there so far through a game and a half, and sooner or later he's going to connect on one.
Pretty good pitch that time from Contos. That slider that starts right in the middle of the strike zone looks tantalizing, but late movement down and out of the zone.
Able to hold off there, and he's back even, 2 balls and 2 strikes. A view from Chase Field in downtown Phoenix on a gorgeous night, nice and cool, very comfortable. Roof and panels open here, and the ball has been flying out. Goldie, 4 plate appearances. He's been on base 4 times, 2 walks, 2 singles.
Putting together good at bat after good at bat. Some abbreviated quick swing. I mean, we've seen Goldie take some home run swings, but when he gets in those 2 strike counts, he just tries to barrel the ball up and hit it wherever it's pitched.
David Peralta, a 3-run homer in the 3rd. He walked and scored his last time up. We showed you Jake Lamb's big 3-run home run a moment ago. Here's David Peralta's 3-run bomb in the 3rd. It's our Chaz Roberts air conditioning cool play of the game, halfway up the right field seats. Keeping Goldschmidt close. I think Goldie's reputation, Bob, as a very good base runner, and he might be the Diamondbacks' best base runner. He's starting to spread out there. Teams keeping a close eye on him. I know it's a 1-run game of the 7th, but he has shown in his last few seasons he can sneak up on you. There you go, 78%. And there he goes. Peralta fouls the pitch behind Andy Green at 3rd. Yeah, you got to go back, Paul. Sorry.
Great crossover step. I mean, he's like a base stealer. You know, you see those little guys that are really fast and they really concentrate on that crossover step, plant the right foot, crossover with the left. Stay down low with your first 2 or 3 strides. Really accelerate into your slide at second base. Goldie does all those things.
Down there at first with Dave McKay, who is the base running coach here for the Diamondbacks. 2 balls and a strike to Peralta. Goldie holds this time. Peralta lifts it in the seats behind the Diamondback dugout. 2-2.
He works hard to get a maximum lead. Watch that right foot dig in, crosses over. It's kind of a funny running motion. He doesn't lift his knees high in the air, but he still gets there quicker than people realize and anticipate.
He was like, oh man, I got a great jump. I had that one all the way.
You made me remember the jump earlier in the ballgame when he just took off as Ryan Vogelsong was standing on the mound. Unfortunately, David fouled that ball off too.
There goes Goldie one more time. That's ball 3. The throw from Sanchez is not in time as it rolls into center field. First stolen base of the year for Paul Goldschmidt.
Saw the peek back there by Paul Goldschmidt. That usually indicates a hit and run. As the base runner, you want to know what happens when that ball gets into the hitting area, and Goldie took a quick peek back toward home plate. Generally, on a straight steal of second base, you just put your head down and run as hard as you can to the bag.
So Goldie in scoring position, still nobody out. And a full count to Peralta.
Paul Goldschmidt slide with his right leg under, his left leg extended. That accomplishes a couple of things. Number one, it turns your back to the throw. If the catcher happens to let one get away, it hits you in the back rather than in the front of the body. Also, you're facing the outfield. If it happens to be an overthrow, you can see it quickly and get to your feet and advance on to third base.
Peralta reaches for the 3rd time tonight. And the first 2 have reached for the D-backs in the 7th as Mark Trumbo steps in.
Mark Trumbo.
Trumbo tripled and scored in the 2nd. Struck out in the 3rd, struck out in the 5th, 1 for 3. And Mark with an excellent track record against these Giants. Had the RBI triple last night, just missed a home run. Tripled and scored here tonight. Last 20 career games versus San Francisco, Mark has 18 RBIs. Already had 2 3-run homers tonight. There's the man who's done all the damage so far this season. Jake Lamb making headlines. 7 RBIs already in the Diamondbacks' first 2 games of the season. That's a team record. Trumbo did it last year. 4 RBIs in the first 2 games. That was the old record. The 0-1. We're number 1. So upstairs like that, that's where they pitched Mark Trumbo throughout the ball game last night, Bob.
Yeah, and earlier in the ball game, Vogelsong went upstairs a couple of times on Mark Trumbo. Right? Apparently, their scouting report is that he'll chase some high fastballs.
Off the hands, Crawford at short, and they roll the double play. Goldie in at third, quickly 2 down. That one kind of tied him up.
Third baseman,
Jake Lamb, the first major league rookie with 7 RBI in his first 2 games of the season since Johnny Groth of the Detroit Tigers back in 1949.
And the first player with 7 RBIs or more in the first 2 games of the season since Chris Davis in 2013.
Don't stop now.
Last guy who had 8 RBIs in the first 2 games of the season, Brian Giles with the 05 Padres. And that RBI is standing at third with 2 outs. Jake Lamb, an RBI ground out in the second. Walked in the fourth, a 3-run homer on a 3-2 pitch his last time up in the 5th inning. Right chopper, right to Posey at first. And Contos pitches his way out of trouble to the 8th inning in a 1-run ball game at Chase. Tire Pro. For the best selection of Continental and General brand tires, visit one of the 22 locally owned Arizona Tire Pros locations. And by Chaz Roberts, Air Conditioning and Plumbing. Choose Chaz. Another good one here at Chase Field. Another 1-run game with these defending World Series champion San Francisco Giants as we start the 8th inning. And some changes for the D-backs. Will start on the mound, the new pitcher. After such a terrific rookie season last year, the right-hander Evan Marshall.
And when Addison Reed was slowed at the beginning of spring training, Chip Hale was asked about a possible replacement in the closer's role, and Evan Marshall's name came up, and he pitched well enough last year to put himself in consideration for that if necessary at some point in the future.
And it looks like for the time being he will be the 8th inning guy. He's on in the 8th here tonight. A.J. Pollock defensive changes, takes over in center field. Ender Inciarte moves over from center to right, replacing Mark Trumbo. Casey McGee, who was at bat in the 7th when Buster Posey was picked off first, will lead off the 8th against Marshall. He is 0 for 3, has struck out twice. Evan Marshall, a very promising rookie season, 57 appearances last year, the 2.74 ERA you saw a moment ago. Finished ranked in the top 5 among National League rookie relievers in holds, appearances, and strikeouts. He said last year was awesome, but he'd like to have a whole lot more years like that. Got that big, heavy sink. He can throw 95, as you just saw there. Got the win in his big league debut May 6th at Miller Park in Milwaukee last year, and did not allow an earned run in his first 8 big league relief appearances. Bounce to third. Short hop by Lamb. The throw pulls Goldie off the bag, but he has it for the first out. Saw Jake have a couple of throwing issues during spring training.
That was usually when he backed off. He's got a really good throwing arm, so just go ahead and cut it loose. Tough short hop right there. Fires a strike across the diamond. Goldie goes into foul territory. No problem over there at first.
He is a plus defender down there at third. A very good glove man. Speaking of which, here's Brandon Crawford. Last time up, he got the Diamondbacks with the bat a home run with 1 out in the 6th against De La Rosa. Did not take Evan Marshall long to become a very critical part of the Diamondback bullpen last year. And he spent most of his rookie season pitching in very high leverage situations. 39 of his 57 appearances last year came either with a score tied or in a 1-run ball game. And here he is in the 8th inning with a 1-run lead. A 4th-round pick out of Kansas State in the draft 4 years ago. Driven to center, Pollock. Fans, baseball is finally here. It's happening all around us. So grab a Pepsi and some friends and come on out, join us at a Diamondback game and live it. It's for the thrill of the game. Pepsi, live for now. Pepsi, the official soft drink of the Arizona Diamondbacks. 2 down now for Gregor Blanco. Sergio Romo throwing in the Giant bullpen. It was Romo who gave up Lamb's big 3-run double last night. Blanco doubled and scored his last time up, 1 for 3.
I love the kids. And the dads that act like kids.
And the granddads.
Yeah, that too.
He's got his D-backs gear on. Looks like Dad's got a Giants shirt on.
You don't need all those expensive toys. Just give the kid a straw. Or a cardboard box.
Yep.
Entertain themselves for hours.
Diamondback Live postgame show follows our ball game. Jody Jackson and Joe Borowski. 2-1 to Blanco. Center field, Pollock coming in. He's among the best in the business. Gets a good jump, and Marshall works a 1-2-3-8. Diamondbacks holding on to a 1-run lead.
Borowski, Joe, we knew this game would end up close like this. Pre-game, we talked about the bullpen and how important it is to this team when the starters don't go that deep in the game, and that's going to be a key to the outcome here.
This is how you write it up, Jody. Starter hands it off to the bullpen. Bullpen looks to keep the lead. Middle, setup guys get their job done. Now it's up to Addison Reed. We'll see if he gets the job done.
All right, we will join you right after the game. D-Backs Live, our post-game show, guys.
Thanks very much, Joe and Jody. There is Addison Reed, who will apparently be in line for his first save opportunity of the year. The Diamondbacks don't score too many runs in this inning. Tuffy Gozuish leads it off. George Canto still in there for the Giants. Romo had been warming. Tuffy singled his last time up, 1 for 3. Gozuish, Ahmed, and Pollock 7, 8, 9 in the Arizona 8th. Giants in the 9th would have Sanchez, the catcher. And then the top of the order, Aoki and Panic, 1 and 2. Gozuish lines it to left. Backs up Aoki, 1 away. Hey fans, every weeknight don't miss MLB Whip Around on Fox Sports 1. You'll get highlights, instant analysis, and live look-ins from around the league. MLB Whip Around is weeknights at 4 on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. 1 away for Nick Ahmed. Nick singled in the 4th. He's 1 for 3.
Tough luck for Tuffy. Hit that one right on the nose, but right at Aoki out there in left field.
Strike 1. And hits one on the button again, right at Aoki.
I'm popping up. Jeez.
Get a look at A.J. Pollock, Addison Reed. Still warming. Here's A.J., who did not start the ball game tonight. Went 1 for 5 last night, the opener, 302 last year.
Possible bunt for base hit here. You saw him peek out of the corner of his eye at third base. Yeah. Seeing where Casey McGee was playing down there for the Giants, he was way behind the bag at third, and you could just see AJ kind of peek out of the corner of his eye. Saw where McGee was and tried to bunt his way on base. Focused on Contos now.
In the air to right. Blanco backing up and has Reed. 9th inning at Chase Field. It's a 1-run ball game. Addison Reed coming in. Here we go. Valley Honda dealers, where you'll get more standard features for less money. By CenturyLink, your link to what's next. And by Mix One, greatness in, greatness out. Now available at your local Fry's. Ninth inning in downtown Phoenix. Diamondbacks lead the Giants 7-6. They won 64 games last year. Addison Reed saved 32 of those wins, which, despite the ups and downs for Addie, put him among the upper half of Major League closers, and he's out there now trying to save their first win of the year.
Yeah, the real problem with Addison last year, when he had problems, was giving up the long ball. 11 homers in his 59 1/3 innings pitched.
Sanchez, Aoki panicked 9-1-2 in the Giant ninth. Good start. 93 for a strike. Addie had some soreness in that right shoulder just before camp opened in February. And so he was behind all spring. Tests on the shoulder showed there was no injury. He was able to play catch without any pain or discomfort, but didn't appear in a Cactus League game until more than 3 weeks into March. He did not go, says Gary Cederstrom. It's a ball and a strike. And Addison was able to get out there enough near the tail end of spring training to feel like he's on schedule to start the season. And the key for Addison Reed, as always, fastball location and that slider. The slider was a wipeout pitch for him 2 years in Chicago, and it sort of came and went last year here. But he says despite missing much of the spring with that sore shoulder, everything feels like where it needs to be. And he's locating that pitch a little better than he did earlier this spring. Just has to keep building on it. 1-2 to Sanchez. Got him.
You know, we were talking earlier about pitching, defense, and 3-run homers is a good formula to win. Well, the defense has shown up here late in the ballgame. Tuffy Gosowicz blocks a pitch in the dirt, picks Buster Posey off first base. A great play by Jake Lamb down there at third on a tough hop. Goldie with a nice play of his own on the other end, and then A.J. Pollock just in the game as part of a double switch. A couple of nice running catches in center field. That defense really stands out late in the close game.
Aoki. Doubled in the fifth. He's 1 for 4. There's a strike at 92 miles an hour. Jake Lamb with his toes on the grass at third. Goldie near the line at first. In there, 1-2.
Good backdoor slider that time. Aoki thought it was going to be off the corner away. You see where Tuffy sets up. That slider right there.
Right on the knees.
Another slider on the way. In the dirt this time. Good place to put it on a 1-2 count. Aoki's been known to chase some pitches in the dirt and over his head from time to time. So when you're ahead in the count, don't risk throwing that slider in the middle of the plate.
Bounce to second. Aaron Hill. 2 down. Yvonne Hale. Chip Hale's mom right here with us at Chase Field. Her little boy. 1 out away from his first win as a major league manager. But before the celebration, Addison Reed will have to deal with Joe Panik, and he's got Pagan behind him, so this is the guy you want to get right here. Ball one. Panik 0 for 3 tonight. Drove in a run with a sac fly in the 5th. Mom looks like she's holding up pretty well so far.
Yeah.
I bet she's watched a baseball game or 2 in her day. There's the strike. A 1-2-3-8 from Evan Marshall. Addison Reed trying to equal that here in the 9th. One and two.
Uh-oh, she's taking off her glasses.
Yep.
Getting serious now.
They're on their feet here in downtown Phoenix.
Once again, good location for that slider ahead in the count 1-2. See if you can't get Panik to chase a pitch out of the zone.
Mother and son. He didn't tell you. Nobody said it was going to be easy, Yvonne. That's how you lose some hair.
That's right. Chip's done that a bunch of times. That's why that hair's all gone on top.
We'll do it again on 2-2. It's full. Aboard with a 2-out walk, and here comes trouble.
Backdoor slider, wishful thinking. It looked like it caught the corner just a little bit off, a little bit down.
Angel Pagan, 3 for 4 last night. Doubled and scored in the 1st tonight. Walked and scored in the 4th. Ball one.
I think she's eating acids.
I think we all are right now. Outfielders are backed up with their backs to the warning track. Keep an eye on Panik.
See, that's good thinking. Mom realizes he got 2 quick outs with the glasses on. Then she took them off and he walked Joe Panik. So put the glasses back on.
There's the strike. A family affair here at Chase Field. Pagan this season against the D-backs, 9 plate appearances. He's got 4 hits and 2 walks. 3 of the 4 hits are doubles. A strike away. Trying to get their new skipper his first win as a big league manager. Winners! A save for Addison Reed, a win for the Diamondbacks, and Chip Hale and high five for Marlin.
Why not? What a ball game. This is kind of what we expected from the Diamondbacks this year. Just enough pitching, plenty of offense, and great defense. Add it all up, turned